Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to Muslim Money and Arabic with Imran Lam. I'm Anisa, and today we're starting something completely different, a multi-part series on the history of Islam in Southeast Asia. With me is Imran Lam, normally the host of these podcasts.
Salams.
But today I am going to be taking the role of guest host and asking him a whole lot of questions on this really fascinating topic. So, the first question that we have here, Imran, is how did all of this come about?
How this all started is I was really perturbed with a conversation that I had with someone.
Okay, yes, please share.
We had come back from Malaysia, and there was this group of Muslim leaders, so to speak. So, Australian Muslim leaders, and they organized this big conference in Malaysia. And I was chatting to, you had the leadership there, right? So we're talking like Muslim leaders from the West going to Malaysia. So the first thing I said was like, how's the food? Mamak restaurants. Malaysia, all about the food.
The roti canai,
Roti
the mee
canai,
goreng, all the
mee rebus,
char kway teow,
everything,
satay,
right?
everything.
Street food, that's everything. And the response was, no, we just ate Syrian food.
Oh.
And I was like, you go all the way to Malaysia and you don't even sample any of the food or any of the culture or get to know the place where you're staying. And you guys are leaders, man. You know what I mean? I was actually offended. I was offended for my ancestors. I was offended for my culture. I was just so annoyed.
Yes, I do recall you being pretty annoyed.
And what perturbed me was that you have leaders, Muslim leaders, that are going to another country and essentially just using it for a venue and not having any appreciation of the people, the culture, the language, and the food and the traditions. I mean, they just couldn't eat chili food. That's fine, right? Maybe that was the case. But it's like going to Pakistan. You go to Pakistan and you don't have biryani. Or you go to Lebanon and you just, as a Malaysian, you just go there and eat nasi lemak and hang out with all Malays. Like, it's a note for me that's no different than a bunch of Aussies going to Bali and bringing Australia to Bali. Bali is an amazing place. It's got a lot of history. Obviously, we're going to talk about the last remnants of the Majapahit Empire. But my point is that in the past, when Muslims traveled, they traveled to learn, they traveled to trade, they traveled to do all these things.
With open minds.
With open minds. And like, it annoyed me so much that I started write this 3-part series.
You were going down some serious rabbit holes.
I know. I just got so annoyed that it made me write this series on Islam in Southeast Asia, the role of trade, and also the colonial period and just general history.
So, Imran, I guess a lot of people have heard that Islam came to Southeast Asia through Yemeni traders. But is that the only way in which Islam came? And what's a bit more information around this?
I think that's pretty much correct. Like, if you ask anybody not from the region, they will say Yemeni traders. Even a lot of Malaysians, Indonesians will say Yemeni traders. And Yemeni traders did have played a significant role in the Islamization of the whole Nusantara or Malay Archipelago. But it wasn't just them. But I think my point, we'll go through this actually. We'll go through we'll go through the Gujaratis, the Chinese Muslims. But I think my point is what perturbs me is, that we never traveled. But back in the old days, right? Back in the day, we would travel with intent. We would travel with intent to learn, to acquire knowledge, to trade, to learn the languages, to learn and reflect on things.
And they would eventually, many would settle, they would marry.
Would marry.
That's how we have all this, mixed heritage of Muslims across the world because of these, traders and because they committed to the culture and they came and they wanted to be part of that. They weren't all about coming and just imposing. I mean, perhaps in some ways.
No, 100%. It was a very cosmopolitan. I mean, we'll talk about this in the second episode. I don't want to jump the gun, but I want to make the point that from our tradition, so many times in the Quran, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is saying, travel the earth. But when you travel the earth, reflect. It's a point of reflection, right? أَفَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَيَنْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. Right? Have they not traveled the earth, the land, and to see the outcome, of what of those who came before them? Right? It's an invitation to learn and study about the region that you travel to. And then how many times, like in the Quran, when it comes to languages and cultures, I love this verse. You know that when you talk about ayats in the Quran that really speak to you, I just love this one in Surah Al-Rum. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافُ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِلْعَالِمِينَ. And among God's signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth, but the diversity of your languages and your colors. Indeed, in this is sign for people of knowledge. Al-Sina from lisan. Lisan, that's a Lisan al-Arab, the famous dictionary. But lisan is from the tongue, right? Al-Sina is the plural. So basically your languages and your tongues and different cultures. And all these things are signs for people to reflect. And, we can go, there's so many, like Surah Al-Hujurat, talks about knowing one another. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. O humanity, we created you into men and a male and female, and we made you into nations and tribes. Shu'ub, right? Different peoples. Qaba'il, different tribes that you may know one another. And interestingly, the word that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses is لِتَعَارَفُوا. Ta'arafu, to know, right? He knew. Arafa, he knew. But arafa, to know, urf is culture, right? And culture is to acquire, yatathaqaf, to acquire culture, to know. So there's this thing about acquiring knowledge and culture. And urf, and remember urf and adat, if you go to usul al-fiqh, urf is culture, adat, traditions. Urf and adat are secondary principles of usul al-fiqh, right? They become part of the Islamic legal framework. Yeah. And
they're important aspects of a person's life.
Yeah, 100%. There's obviously you've studied this, the legal maxim, al-aada muhakkama, that culture is binding almost, or it becomes law.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't contradict the nasqat thabut, clear text from the Quran and Sunnah, but culture is very important. And I think we're missing this from not only our travels, but all our traditions, just how we view the world. So,
have we taken on this kind of Western, sort of slightly imperialist kind of approach to going and, I know when we go to Malaysia, we've been to lots of the beautiful islands there, but they've kind of become, these honeymoon destinations for Muslim couples.
And this is another discussion altogether, but, this kind of halal tourism. I'm obviously in the halal sector myself,
yes.
But it doesn't mean we can't critique it. My critique is not just on Muslim leaders in Australia. It's on how we travel today. We become so engrossed in the general consumerist travel. Yeah, like when we go, we want to relax, get some massages, eat junk food, just relax by the pool, and it's in this whole halal industry of tourism. In the summer you get Kuala Lumpur, it's just Khalijis, and people go there, and what are they doing? They're just going there again, eating at all the Syrian restaurants. Very little cultural exchange is taking place, and I think that's something that drove this series, because I was just annoyed me so much.
Not that sort of immersive approach that we've had.
It's just no respect, and even when you in Australia, for example, when we go to different Aboriginal country, at least give recognition and acknowledgement of the ancestors, their people, the leaders, the uncles, the aunties. It's just you go to someone's house, you respect the house, learn a bit about the house. You know what I mean? And I think we need to have this approach, and I think it's lacking not only in the Australian Muslim community, a lot of Western Muslims communities like that, but also from the Muslim world when they travel out, it's for these reasons.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, that's a long, but my perturbity ended up in this 3-part series. So inshallah, there'll be some benefit. Not that they'll probably listen to it, and doesn't concern me at all, but I just felt annoyed enough to do this 3-part series.
So having said that, can you explain a little bit about what we are going to expect from this 3-part series?
All right, so the first episode, we're going to talk about who are the people that inhabit this area, right? So when I talk about this area, I'm talking about the Nusantara or Alam Melayu. These are 2 contested terms. So if you're talking to Malays, they'll say Alam Melayu,
Right.
the Malay world, or the Malay Archipelago. Indonesians, Nusantara. But Nusantara, the concept is also has political undertones in the city that they're literally building, Nusantara,
Yes.
the new capital. So a lot of Indonesians use that for nation building purposes. But regardless, that whole region. But the first episode, we can't understand that region until we understand the people. And that's why the first episode will be on the Austronesians and who are the Austronesian people.
Okay.
The second episode, we'll be talking about how did the whole region become Muslim. It's actually a miracle how it became Muslim. People don't really understand how it actually completely became Muslim. 90% in Indonesia, in Malaysia, obviously the Malays being largely Muslim. But it's a fascinating topic, and how trade and Islamic trade and Muslim trade had a massive role in that. And the third part of this series, we're going to talk about the colonial project and colonial capitalism and the different colonial powers that came to occupy the region, and talk about the resistance of the region to finally get rid of the colonizers and retain a lot of the culture, the language and religion.
Sounds really exciting.